Staff, we're good. Very good. All right, we'll welcome everybody. We'll call the meeting to order at, I believe it's 5:30, 5:32. May we have roll call, please, Grace?
Chairperson Philip Goldstein,
Here.
Vice Chairperson Marty Jost, Commissioner Tom Wood, Commissioner Wendy Newland. Here. Commissioner Michael Lowry, Alternate Commissioner Renzo Bianchi. Here. Alternate Commissioner Janelle Mines. Here.
Very good. I have none, but commissioners, any amendments to the agenda? None. Okay, hearing none. Move on to administrative. Okay, seeing Commissioner Lowry coming in now. So we still have two absences. So both Renzo, you and Janelle will vote this evening. And public comment. This is general public comment. This is an opportunity for anybody that wishes to address the commission on anything that is not on the agenda. Staff, we have public comment on the two, business items. This is an opportunity, anything that is not on the agenda. Is there anybody signed up or does anybody who did not sign up wish to speak on something that is not on the agenda?
There was no one signed up.
Nobody signed up. Okay, and nobody wished to speak on anything not on the agenda that didn't sign up. So we'll close the general public comment. Commissioners, the consent agenda consists solely of the approval of the August 5th meeting minutes. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? None. Hearing none. Do I have a motion on the consent agenda, please?
To approve the consent agenda.
Okay, do I have a second? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, consent agenda is approved. Moving on to the public hearing business items. Item 7A, a resolution recommending approval of the annexation of the property known as Timnath Shores into the town of Timnath. Chad, I believe that's yours. It is.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good evening, everyone. As you mentioned, this item is a resolution recommending the approval of annexation for property known as Timnath Shores into the town of Timnath. Just to review the process of where we're at. So within our development review process, you see that the annexation and zoning is the first step in development within the town of Timnath. On July 8th, 2025, Town Council adopted an initiation resolution formally accepting this annexation petition and conforming the compliance to state law. This resolution then commenced our annexation process in which we are here today. Before Town Council can consider that final annexation and zoning ordinance, the Planning Commission must conduct the public hearing and provide its recommendation, which we are here tonight. Just briefly highlighting, on August 5th, the Planning Commission opened and continued the public hearing on the annexation, pushing the proceedings to tonight, August 19th, to meet the annexation noticing requirements. Again, those were properly noticed. So property was physically posted, a sign was physically posted on the property. Letters were sent to the property owners within 300 feet as per code. And then sent to all interested special districts within that property. And a hearing notice was published in the Coloradan for 4 consecutive weeks per the state statute. So just to highlight a brief description of the property we're looking at, this proposed request is to annex approximately 76 acres of unincorporated land in Larimer County, again referred to as the Timnath Shores property. The site is located at the southeast corner of County Roads 3E and 42E. Currently vacant, the property has access to basic infrastructure, making it suitable for development. Per the state of Colorado's Municipal Annexation Act, an annexation can take place in 3 ways. A landowner petitioned, signed by more than 50% of the landowners who own more than 50% of the land, or by annexation election, or a unilateral annexation or enclave of municipally owned land. Criteria 1 is being met with this application, as the applicant and owner, Cottonwood Development Partners LLC, has petitioned for the annexation of this property. So per the state statute for annexations, not less than 1/6 of the perimeter of an area proposed to be annexed is contiguous with the annexing municipality. Therefore, 1/6 of that boundary of the land to be annexed must be contiguous or adjacent, immediately adjacent to the town of Timnath. The statute also states that contiguity shall not be affected by the existence of a lake, reservoir, stream, or other natural or artificial waterway between the annexing municipality and the land proposed to be annexed. Therefore, the requirements, statutory requirement for that 1/6 contiguity to the town limits is attained by the White Wings subdivision to the east across Timnath Reservoir. So the total perimeter of the site, which includes the annexation of County Road 42E, would be over 13,000 feet. That would have a required contiguity to the town's boundary of 2,093 feet. This is meeting that requirement and exceeding that. It is at 3,400 feet of adjacency to the town of Timnath limits based on the requirements of the state statute. So with that, apologize. My recommendation did not make it. I apologize. So we are recommending that based on meeting the criteria of the state statute for annexation, we would recommend approval of the resolution for annexation for the property known as Timnath Shores to the Timnath Town Council. We could either have this split up into 2, have 2 separate discussions, or have this me represent the second item as well for.
Commissioners,
For
are
this
you
one.
okay with, my preference would be having cover them both. Are we heading on? Are we okay with that?
Okay.
All right. Yeah,
Yep.
Chad,
And
I
then we'll
believe
just-
that would be your preference
Yep,
anyway.
so we'll just open and close each one and have your recommended motions, and then
Okay.
have a
And-
open and closed for public
All right,
comment.
Mr. Merritt, you're comfortable, I presume, presenting both at once? Very good. All right,
All right, so the second item is the zoning map amendment for the Timnath Shores property. So in accordance with the State Annexation Act, a municipality has 90 days in which to assign the zoning district for the annexed property. As you may recall, in September of last year, there was a comp plan amendment approved for this property, in which a portion of the site was changed from rural residential to low-density residential, which allows for the R2 zone district. So the proposed zoning with this annexation does align with the comprehensive plan designations. So roughly 24.6 acres of the property would be estate residential, and 51.4 acres would be zoned single-family residential, or R2, in the town's zoning map. which are in compliance again with that comprehensive plan designation. Um, We did open the public hearing again for the rezoning on August 5th and continued it to today. The notice was published and mailed in compliance with the land use code requirements. So unlike the annexation, there are criteria within our land use code to review for the zoning of the property. In section 2975 criteria for the zoning map, there are 7 different criteria of which could be applicable for the rezoning of a property. Criterion G, which is to bring zoning of a land into conformance with the future land use designation of the comprehensive plan, is applicable to this item, and is also a requirement by state statute to have it zoned at annexation. So again, it is currently designated as rural residential and low-density residential. Annexing to the town, the zoning designations will conform to that plan, and the proposed zoning of RE and R2 are in compliance with the future land use designations. With that, I can pass it along to Ken Merritt with JR Planners and Engineers for any additional insight or if you have any questions. Ken, I apologize that we do not have your slides, but if you have anything additional, if this slide works.
I think I would know that.
Is
by
my mic on?
Not my first
Can't ask you
rodeo.
unless mine's on, is it? Now they're both on. Good, thank you.
Again, my name's Ken Merritt with JR Planners, Engineers, and Landscape Architects representing the applicant this evening, Cottonwood Development Partners. And due to some technical difficulties, I guess you're not going to get the opportunity to see my wonderful presentation tonight, but I will make a couple of just comments if you don't mind. I'm happy to take any questions. But if you care to see the presentation, you can come to town council hearing in 2 weeks. I think, as always, Chad did a great job of introducing the project and giving you I think the pertinent facts, but I just want to make a couple of takeaways regarding the Timnath Shores annexation. There were really 5 key points. The annexation and zoning is consistent with all the applicable goals, objectives, and policies of the Timnath Comprehensive Plan, the town's future land use plan, and is compatible with the existing development trends in the surrounding area. Additionally, the proposed annexation is located within the town of Timnath's gross management area and is greater than 1/6 contiguous to the town and therefore eligible for voluntary annexation. It adheres to the requirements of the Timnath and Larimer County IGA for property to be considered for annexation. And as Chad pointed out, the zoning comports with the town's future land use plan. 25 acres, approximately 25 acres, will be zoned RE, residential estate, which comports with the estate rural residential land use designation, and 51 acres will be zoned R2, single family residential, which comports with the LDR low density residential land use designation. And then finally, and I think it really, this is this is probably more my opinion and the opinion of our client. We believe that there's extraordinary public benefit provided by the town approving this annexation due to the critical infrastructure and roadway developments that will occur in the surrounding area, which will greatly increase opportunities for growth in this quadrant of the city. So that's kind of the end of my presentation. So I can be short when required to be.
I'm flabbergasted, Ken.
Well, I think Chad really does have my presentation, but chose to not load it.
Just a tribute to you both. Might add. Okay, we're going to open public comment here shortly on one issue at a time, or actually we can probably combine them, but we'll have to open and close public comment separately on these 2 issues. It should be noted, we were handed a letter, which I understand Chad came in at 5 o'clock 5 o'clock this evening. And we'll give the presenter of this letter most difficult receiving something at 5 o'clock to consider. Staff, let me just ask you, so not to put you on the spot. You had a chance in the brief time between this came in to take a look at this and at all?
I have not.
Okay. Then, Carolyn, have you seen this communication?
I just received at the beginning of the meeting, so I'm actually looking through it right now as we speak. So we'll try to answer the questions that you have to the best that we're able to. So if you have questions, why don't you, from the letter, go ahead and refer those questions to us. And then you also have public comment first before
Okay.
you get to your
Yes,
question.
we are having public comment. Yeah, and I implied as much, but it's most difficult receiving something at 5 o'clock to sit up here in front of admittedly a few people receiving this and to be able to parse the details of this. But we'll do the best that we can. So I'm going to open public comment. First of all, is there any reason, Chad, I can't open public comment on both issues at the same time?
I would prefer that you do them separately. So I prefer first public comments because we want to give everyone their 3 minutes on both issues and we don't want to combine the criteria. So I would recommend that we first do public comments on the annexation application and then take a vote on that and then open public comments on the rezoning and then take a vote on that.
All right, very good. Public comment is open now on the item 7A, a resolution recommending approval of the annexation of the property known as Timnath Shores of Town. Timnath, anybody signed up for public comment or otherwise want to speak? Okay, very good. If you come up, state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Yep. Is this on?
It's on, now it's off.
Yeah. Ryan Furtick, I own the parcel at 2225 South County Road 3E. And my sincere apologies for sending it so late. It was, yeah, my own tardiness. I didn't know when else to send it, but now you have it. To
Ryan,
summarize,
could you make sure you talk on the mic so we can hear, because I'm sure
sure.
we can't really hear you up here.
Is that better?
A little bit. Tall guy and a short mic.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Let's see. Well, thank you for your service here. I know it's a difficult job. I tried to outline in the letter just sort of summarizing the key objections that I had to this. Again, it's not to the development. It's, I think, regarding process and also the way it's materialized. Obviously, I have a vested interest in how it materializes. I won't make a secret of that. Primarily related to annexation, what I see from the code is that the town has an obligation to demonstrate that services are available at the time of annexation. And I don't believe that that's been adequately demonstrated, primarily related to the right-of-way acquisition of 42 for emergency service. Box elder sanitation doesn't look like that's been secured, and some other infrastructure related things that I think need to be done beforehand. I outlined that I think in the comprehensive plan amendment series of meetings, it doesn't seem like the commission was advised appropriately. I think there were substantial uncertainties and anxieties about approving as is, and it was assured that those would be resolved in the following process. I'll just note that none of those issues have been resolved. And so I'm here today sort of asking for a seat at the table. Obviously, I'd like to sort of shape how this happens. Yeah, more detail in there, and of course, understand that you haven't had time to read it.
Great. Thank you, Ryan. Anybody else wish to offer comment on this item? All right, we'll close the public comment on the Timnath Shores annexation. Chad, I'm going to try and take a real high level view of the Mr. Furtick's high level question or statement. As I recall from almost a year ago when we first had this, these are the same substantive perhaps or unsubstantive issues that will then be addressed at a later stage, correct? Sketch plan, preliminary plat, et cetera. If you've had any chance at all to look over these comments.
Yes, so as I mentioned earlier, the annexation and zoning and then the comp plan amendment, those can be flipped, but those are essentially the first step within the development review process. So we would not be able to accept a subdivision application prior to the annexation of the property. So once the property is annexed, the next step would be to start that major subdivision process. And so the sketch plan is that first step, which does have a neighborhood meeting and a public hearing. So there would be the potential to have engagement with the surrounding property owners to share those concerns and discuss with the applicant ways to mitigate that if those concerns are within the development that they're proposing. Just quickly to respond to the response from the service providers. This was shared to water and sewer for their review. They have stated that their ability to serve at this time. So they're aware of this development and they would be through the review process as they do the plating to ensure that they're compliant and served within their districts. And then lastly, I believe there's another mention there that of the process, but the sketch plan would be the next phase in order to review those items.
Okay. Do you or Mr. Merritt know approximately when that'll be coming forward?
Yeah, actually, very good questions asked of the commission this evening. I appreciate those. Very quickly, as it relates to the sketch plan, we'll probably likely be turning in the sketch plan the last week of August, maybe right after the Labor Day holiday. The sketch plan requirement does include a neighborhood meeting, so we will be doing a neighborhood meeting within 30 days of that submittal. So I'll work with Chad to determine what that schedule and location might, when the town representatives can be available and when we can get a venue to have that meeting so that we correlate our submittal to jive with the neighborhood meeting. I do want to point out that from a statutory standpoint, as it relates to annexation and zonings, and as Chad mentioned, they reached out, the city reached out, town reached out to the Box Elder Sanitation District as well as the Elko Water District, and they have capacity in their system, and that's all that's really determined for an annexation and zoning. We do not need to have actual infrastructure, pipes in the ground that we plug into in order to be eligible to be annexed. A determination of capacity is what is typically made by the utility districts. And so we met that standard and recognize, and my closing comment was the benefits that this project will bring to developing infrastructure that doesn't yet exist. We've actually been working closely with the sanitation district on their master plan and the extension of a what's called an interceptor line. This is a large diameter sanitary sewer pipe that will actually come from it'll come from the west side of County Road 5 if it's already built. If not, we'll be building it further to the west. But it'll come through our property and head north and will essentially terminate at our northern boundary line, northeastern boundary line, and will allow that large area of property designated on the town's future land use plan that's identified as low density residential to someday be developed and annexed as well. So we've been working closely with them, and we've also been working closely with the with the Elko Water District to determine how we're going to bring water into the site, and we believe we know how that's going to be accomplished. As it relates to access to the property, what I do want to point out in the absent, Chad, if you could go back, yeah, perfect. County Road 42E, the entire right-of-way for County Road 42E exists, 60 foot of right-of-way from County Road 5 all the way to 3E, which is along our western boundary. 3E, the right-of-way exists there as well. However, if you take a look at the map in front of you, you can see that County Road 3 has a few jigs and jogs in it. Well, we're going to straighten those out, and we're going to straighten them out to benefit just to benefit this collector road, but also that right-of-way, additional right-of-way for the reconfiguration of 3E is going to come from our property entirely. So it will have no impact to the development to the west. In fact, there will be an opportunity when we actually realign that right-of-way to make some deeds of dedication back to the adjacent landowners to the west, if they so wish to take ownership of the property of the old right-of-way, which will be vacated and then replatted with its new alignment. That's further down the road, obviously. As it relates to County Road 42E, there's also 60 foot of right-of-way that exists all the way from County Road 5 to the west side of the Pooter Irrigation Canal, which is the large canal which feeds Timnath Reservoir. That right-of-way exists in its entirety right now as a 60-foot county right-of-way. However, there is an exemption on a portion of the most easterly portion of that right-of-way, 30 feet south of the center line of that 60 feet, which actually is right-of-way that goes through some of, actually the residents are here today as well that own that property. And that right-of-way actually goes through, I believe, their home. Way back when that right-of-way was dedicated by the county, they put an exemption on that 30 feet south, so it didn't have negative impacts to their property. So that will be only an emergency vehicle access to this site, and we have adequate right-of-way to accomplish the emergency vehicle access to the property as a secondary point of access.
Okay, we've done a nice job of talk about going down the road, literally or figurative, going down the road. I'm going to bring it back to, and commissioners, colleagues, I apologize for, usually I don't offer any thoughts first, but it was important given a year ago and some confusion to set the stage of the things that we are here to consider at this stage. Chad, am I missing anything before I give the commissioners a chance to speak on the criteria upon which we are considering this?
No, you're not missing anything. So this is just the review of the criteria of state statute. Is it eligible for annexation, meaning it has the contiguity with the town against the town's limits? And has the petition been signed by the authorized ownership of a certain percentage? This is a property owned by one sole owner, so it is meeting the requirements of that per state statute.
Very good. All right. With that, commissioners, questions regarding the annexation and the rather limited criteria upon which we're evaluating this? Put your mic on, please.
I just have an informative question for myself. When is it during the site plan next session that we do that we'll review other improvements to 42E and 42 as part of access to this?
Correct. So at the sketch plan phase, as you may recall, that's the bubble diagram that talks about densities in road alignments and connectivity, road connections. So we'll look at that at the sketch plan of what those roads will be and how they'll interconnect at a very high level, and what sets the density of the development. Then at the platting stages, preliminary and final plat, there will be a better understanding of what the design of those roads will be and what those improvements would look like.
Thank you.
Other questions? Anybody? Very good. Yeah, this is fairly cut and dried, certainly, as not all annexations are the same, but this one certainly is. Okay, any other comments or questions on annexation before we consider a vote on this?
Nothing to add.
Okay. All right. Commissioners, with that, I'll entertain a motion on public hearing item, bless you, public hearing item 7A, a resolution recommending approval of the annexation of the property known as Timnath Shores into the town of Timnath. Do I have a motion?
Motion to accept the annexation of Timnath Shores into the town of Timnath.
Second? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Business item 7A carries on a 5-0, 5-0 vote. All right, moving on to 7B, we've heard the presentation. Ken, Mr. Merritt, anything else to add on this? No, okay. Staff. So I now open up public comment on business item 7B, zoning map amendment for the property known as Timnath Shores. Mr. Furtick.
A big day for me. I guess, have I misunderstood the process on what we're doing?
Well, there's
Just to
actually,
say it, right?
no, you're fine. There's just actually two different steps for the annexation and for the rezoning. Now they have to zone it when they annex property. So that's why there's a separate, this is technically the public comments on the zoning aspect.
I understand that.
I believe what he's asking is give it, and I realize it's kind of confusing, his concerns and proving that I can reasonably do two things at once. Did look this over, but Chad summarized some of the things that are in here. I believe what you're asking, but I don't mean to head you off the
Yeah.
pass here, is are we not considering these things at this time? And the answer is we are not. That does not mean they will not be considered in due course, and those due courses will of course come around here as soon perhaps as Mr. Merritt said is the end of August or the 1st of September when they submit the sketch plan. Go ahead.
Correct. Yeah,
please.
correct. And so I think that some of that confusion lies with the process that we took with the comprehensive plan amendment. So that process was truly just to change that future land use designation in our comprehensive plan to allow for this stage to zone the property. Commissioner is correct, Chairperson is correct, that the subsequent stages will be those in which we actually dive into and review and evaluate those impacts that this actual development will have on the adjacent properties.
So, and thank you for the ad lib here, but after today, it will be annexed, correct? So the criteria for annexation,
So this is the recommendation to town council. So on the September 9th meeting, they will have the final decision on the annexation. But following this process, you're correct, the property would be annexed.
so planning would have nothing to say about the criteria I mentioned. It would be town council.
Go ahead, you can take that, or I will. I'll take it up.
Yeah,
They,
so
they have a lot to say about this.
Yes,
The
so
process is extensive.
each process within our subdivision for development review has its own criteria, set of criteria that needs to be met. So we will evaluate at each stage, ensuring that it is meeting the criteria within the town's code, and then ensuring compliance with other documents to make sure that this development is in line with the town's adopted standards.
We're,
So there will be
Go
another
ahead.
opportunity, starting at the sketch plan for neighborhood meeting for input, and there will be a review of that item to ensure the criteria is met with the town standards.
we are like, I've been add this, we're on a number of matters, including the two tonight, we are a recommending body only, recommendation being to council with the input of staff. So safe to say, when this comes before council in next week?
It'll be going forward on September 9th, but
September.
they'll have the first reading next week.
Okay. You will hear a repeat of all this, but including, and we haven't considered fully nor let alone voted on B, but whatever our recommendation, you will hear staff mention, planning commission advance this by way of a recommendation to council.
Okay.
If in fact that happens.
Yeah.
Here. Does that reasonably answer your question?
I think so. I think the point I'm making is that when it goes to sketch plan, you're in major subdivision and you're no longer talking about rezoning or annexation. And I have comments on those items. So it sounds like that is more appropriate for town council because there is no criteria here except do they own the property?
I think you're going to hear the same, but yeah, I think you're going to hear the same thing when this goes before council is, does this meet the criteria for annexation? Does this meet the criteria for zoning? Then when it gets to us at the sketch plan, when it gets to us on the preliminary plat, et cetera, you'll hear, does it meet those criteria? Does it not? Have we addressed any substantive issues that as staff has indicated, and which your letter, I believe, helps to reinforce? Are those, if those are in fact substantive issues that could, should, and would be addressed by the town appropriately, have they been addressed appropriately?
Correct. Yes. So I would also recommend that there will be 2 readings at town council. The second is September 9th, if you'd like to have additional comments with that. But just to reiterate, with the annexation, a municipality or the town of Timnath may annex the property if it is meeting the criteria of the state statute. And that is a policy decision by the council, whether or not they would like to continue moving that forward and have that brought into the town. Again, there is an IGA with Larimer County that they encourage the annexation of properties that are to develop within our boundary to come into the town. So there is an agreement and a relationship with the county as well to move that forward.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Thank you. Appreciate you not just submitting something, but coming to speak to us tonight.
Yeah, I'm trying. I guess regarding the rezoning, it's probably not applicable either, but I just like to reiterate that rezoning is discretionary. It doesn't have to be because the comprehensive plan is amended. And if you'll see my notes on how the comprehensive plan went, I think somehow we lost sight of the original comprehensive plan goals around Timnath Reservoir, which was to encourage large lot development and to preserve the open country feel. And somehow we've said, yeah, but it's hard to develop and it's expensive, therefore we need to do all these things. And I don't think that's the purview. The purview should be, is it best for Timnath? I don't think that burden has been met. Further, that the map as it's shown doesn't meet the density transition requirements. Doesn't make any sense to have 2-acre lots and then quarter-acre lots and then 1-acre lots. A host of issues that once this passes in rezoning, the density will be set. And that's the mistake I'm hoping to prevent for the town.
Anything else briefly? Thank you. All right. So anybody else wish to speak on business item 7B? We would close public comment. 7B, commissioners, questions for staff or Mr. Merritt? Wendy?
So Chad, will this be included then in our packet for the sketch plan meeting? Or do we get to see this again? I mean, obviously I've got a copy, but
I will include it certainly in the minutes and then for town council's meeting. And we'll have this on our record. There will be, though, the ability for public comment at the neighborhood meeting and public comment for sketch plan. If the applicant would like to share the same thoughts, we can include that, yes, with that packet moving forward.
I think the answer was it won't necessarily, it's in our packet tonight. It'll be in the council packet and it'll be in the minutes.
Yeah, this is addressed to the annexation and rezoning, so I wouldn't necessarily include that with the sketch plan, but the applicant is more than welcome to provide these same comments or additional within that public hearing.
Renzo, anything?
No.
No. Michael?
No, that was my question as well.
Janelle?
One of these questions in the letter is that no neighborhood meeting has occurred as required regarding zoning map amendments. Is that part of our process, or is that the neighborhood meetings referring to later in the process?
That would not be part of the requirement for the annexation and zoning of the property, as that is a requirement to have it done with the annexation of the property within those 90 days. For rezoning of a property, should the zoning change, there is a requirement to have a neighborhood meeting.
Okay, so has that already happened or?
So this is not, if it were to change from within the town's boundary already, so say this is annexed and has this zoning designation, the applicant would like to rezone it and still meet the intent or designations of the comprehensive plan, then that rezoning would require a neighborhood meeting. It was just not required within the annexation.
Is what you're saying, to Janelle's point, it becomes zoned for the first time as part of
Correct.
this.
Correct.
And if it would change at some point, then it's required. Yeah. Yes,
Correct.
that's,
Yep.
yeah, I get that.
Okay, that makes sense. I
Yeah.
understand now. So, okay, so yeah, so it's just a change of a current zoning within the town boundaries and it's being annexed into the town boundaries right now.
Correct. Yep. So since it's coming into the town, it is the first time it is being zoned in the town's boundary. There is a zoning designation within the county, but that is not necessarily a zoning change within our process. So the annexation and zoning is the first and kind of on its own. Then you'll see down the line of the process, there is a rezoning that is also within the town's process.
Okay, and so then the zoning that was mentioned earlier, the low density residential and the rural residential, was that Larimer County's zone or was that?
So that is our comprehensive plan future land use designation. So
Okay,
that is what the zoning of the property would need to align with and be in compliance with that designation, which allows for the R2 and RE.
okay. All right, thank you.
I have a really a question. You mentioned the noticing, and was it simply an error? You said 300 feet. I thought our requirement was 500 feet.
Yeah, so our code actually for annexations was, it did state 300 feet. I think I actually may have mailed it to 500, but the requirement of our code is 300. For other notifications in our code, it is 500. So it is a little unique and different, but the requirement for the annexation noticing was 300.
Perhaps you could anticipate where I'm going, perhaps
Yep.
while we're in the middle of the land use.
Align with the other.
Yeah, all right.
I will
Dark-
add that to our
in the
list.
dark here. That's not metaphorical, by the way. Perhaps we can make a note to amend that for sake of consistency. Would you think, Renzo? Everybody? Okay, so I understand. Commissioners, other questions? Comments? Michael?
I walked the Reservoir Trail and I saw the sign that's been posted. Do you have any information where any calls received from that sign?
From the public hearing sign or the development sign that's on the property?
The public hearing on the.
I did not
property.
receive any phone calls from this item.
Interesting.
Okay, other questions or comments? Very good. Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion on the item 7B, the zoning map amendment for the property known as Timnath Shores.
I'll make the motion that we approve the amendment for the property known as the zoning map amendment for the property known as Timnath Shores.
Very good. And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Yeah, I just a brief comment. I don't usually do this. They more typically do it, but yeah, this is sort of a condensed exercise in meeting the criteria. The criteria for these items, as we've seen for those of you who came on board more recently, is much more limited. From here on out, a lot more criteria to be met, a lot more subjectivity, safe to say, but this has been instructive, even for those of us who've been doing this a while. Very good. It's been moved and seconded to approve the zoning map amendment for the property known as Timnath Shores. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries on a 5-0 vote. Very good. Thank you all for this. Move on to reports. Anybody, I have a couple things. Anybody, any Any comments? Scott, you have something?
I don't necessarily, but you asked me prior to the meeting about the status of forming a technical review committee on the comprehensive plan process. We are still reaching out and contacting individuals, so we will follow up with those. There'll be a representative from Planning Commission on that group. So just be patient and stay tuned. We're working on it. Thanks.
Patience is our middle name, right? Very good. Staff, I understand we do have a meeting on September 2nd, Tuesday, September 2nd. Is that for sure?
That is still the intent, yes.
Okay. Do we have, and I know it's farther out, do we know whether or not we have any business items on September 16th at this stage?
If it does not occur on the 2nd, it would be on the 16th. So I will let you guys know this week for sure whether the applicant is moving that one forward.
Okay, in a unrelated but related nevertheless, we may have a work session on the 16th, particularly if we don't have any business items, and maybe even if we do, to tidy up a few things. But I'll talk with you. I've mentioned it to you before. We'll talk about this more as we get. Let's first see what we think might happen in terms of business items, and that may help drive what we'll do. Anything else, commissioners? Town events coming up. We have the what's next? Fall Festival, yes, on the 13th. For those of you who haven't taken it in, I think most of you have. A fine, fine event, if I don't mind saying so myself. Anything else, staff? Anybody? Very good. All right, with that, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.